With the Galactic Republic in a state of turmoil, following the rise of Count Dooku's Separatist alliance, the Jedi Padawan Anakin Skywalker and his master Obi-Wan Kenobi are at the centre of the Jedi Order's attempts to stop a full-scale war from occurring. But the Sith were far wiser than the Jedi could have anticipated, and luring Obi-Wan to Geonosis, Anakin and Senator Padme Amidala of Naboo fail in their attempted rescue of the Jedi. As a result, 212 Jedi are forced to leave their sanctuary on Coruscant, but they prove to be insufficient in comparison to the droid army, until the newest batch of clone troopers, passed through by the Senate to be the Grand Army of the Republic, arrived to save them. Through it all, Anakin and Obi-Wan were busy tracking down Dooku, and stopping him before he could escape from his secret hangar. They battle the former Jedi Council member. Their skills proved to be no match, and in the duel, Anakin's arm is cut off by the Sith, forcing him to adopt a prosthetic limb. But what if Anakin had not lost his arm? Could this change the battle with Dooku? Would it make him weaker or stronger? As you'll find out, the retention of Anakin's arm could have consequences for the subsequent Clone War. Watching as his master clutched his injured leg on the floor, Anakin quickly caught the lightsaber thrown towards him and began to match the Sith strike for strike. Still fueled by the anger at seeing Padme fall into the sands, the Jedi was nevertheless not deluded enough to think he could take Dooku out alone, so rather wisely, he moved the duel away from his injured master and to Dooku's ship. Surprising the Sith Lord by knocking a wall mounting into his path, Anakin decided to take control of the ship and moving it to the edge of the cliff face. He leapt out onto a passing Republic gunship before it tumbled to the ground below. By returning to the hangar, Anakin's risk had not paid off, as Dooku calmly stood with his lightsaber over the body of Obi-Wan. Anakin knew he could not move, or his master would be dead, and merely staring at each other, the Sith is suddenly pushed back into the wall of his hangar, and Anakin turned around to see the diminutive figure of Grandmaster Yoda. The Jedi then lifted Obi-Wan to safety, whilst the other clones of Jedi trapped Dooku, and he had no choice but to accept capture. Placed on trial in front of the Chancellor and esteemed Jedi Council members, Dooku wondered what his master had planned, and soon he found out, as he subtly used the Force to switch off the lights, and Dooku leapt from his pod to batter two members of the Coruscant Guard. Moving quickly to the exit, he managed to escape all of the clone troopers, but he had not accounted for the appearance of Anakin Skywalker. The Jedi Knight was better prepared for a second encounter, and deflecting the Sith's lightning attack with his blade, he still stumbled back, and Dooku could flee back towards Serenno. Whilst he tracked down the Sith with Obi-Wan, the other Jedi were more concerned about what had caused the power outage in the trial, and Master Voss leads the investigation with crime scene investigators and droids. But even utilising his psychometry, he could find no hint of any unusual activity near the generators, and the only conclusion was that the Force must have been used. Palpatine had quickly become aware of the loose end, which the Jedi were pursuing, and with the Council beginning to interrogate all of the Senate guards, the Sith Lord secretly persuaded one of them to shoulder the blame. Dragging the unfortunate guard to his cell at the Republic military base, Palpatine thought he had put an end to the inquest into Dooku's escape, but Anakin and Obi-Wan had other ideas. Even though Dooku had built up an impressive fleet, the piloting skills of the two Jedi and their squadron of ARC-170 starfighters were able to create a shortcut through Separatist airspace, which the Master and Padawan used to track the Sith Lord to his home planet. When the Jedi had arrived, they had already received the development that there was a traitorous Senate guard, and pointing their lightsabers at the calm Sith, they asked him how he had manipulated them. Dooku cackled and looked at Obi-Wan, reaffirming what he had told him on Geonosis, that the Sith Lord was overseeing the Republic and the war, before turning to his castle. Anakin was about to give chase, when from the side of the castle's foundation, 2 battalions of droids rose to intercept them. One was led by the fearsome General Grievous, and the other by Dooku's newest recruit, in the Dathomirian Asajj Ventress. The Jedi each hid behind one of the enormous and decorative pillars that adorned the palace gateway, and asked for the clones to arrive from the nearby system to aid them, but the Jedi had to roll out of range of the blades of Grievous and Ventress. Now completely separated from each other, Obi-Wan could see Dooku looking at the battle with amusement from his throne room, and he was determined to defend the honour of the Jedi, as he used Grievous's hate for the Jedi against him. enhancing his leap several times to jump over the droids. Grievous's aggressive nature forced him to run through his own army, saving much of the effort of the Jedi, and inevitably they clashed blades. Dooku had not expected the Jedi to make such swift progress, and rapidly uses his holographic projector to summon a super tactical droid, and hovering down from the comfort of his throne, he would show the Jedi why he had left them. When the Sith apprentice planted his feet on the floor, he kicked away the scrap pieces of the battle droids, and threw several of them at the Jedi. Obi-Wan pushed these away from harm, but with the 3 lightsaber wielders charging towards them, this was their time to leave, and the Jedi Master ordered for his Padawan and clone battalion to retreat. Dooku stepped in front of Grievous and Ventress, then stretched out his hand to summon Force Lightning from his fingertips, obliterating several clone troopers, and their biker advanced recon commando speeders. Nevertheless, the Jedi managed to run back into their starfighters, and return to Coruscant to reveal to the Council what Dooku had told them. Mace Windu leads the charge back to the Republic military base, but as they expected, they had been too late, as the imprisoned Senate guard lay dead on the floor, with a series of blaster bolts through him. The surveillance cameras had been disabled before the death of the guard, but there was a piece of evidence picked up by an audio sensor, attached to one of the patrolling protocol droids. With the help of the weapons experts at the Jedi Temple, the Council are able to deduce that the high-pitched blaster shots are from an NL-30 blaster pistol, commonly wielded by bounty hunters. Anakin and Obi-Wan are on the chase, and after ordering Admiral Yularen to lock down all of the hyperdrive docking rings, they make their own journey into the dangerous underworld. Passing the shady streets that were usually off limits for the Jedi, R2-D2 scanned for comm chatter, and soon the astromech began to pick up voices, conversing about the death of the unfortunate Senate guard. Hiding behind several crates, Obi-Wan spots the blaster pistol on the belt of the Duros bounty hunter Cad Bane. Obi-Wan stopped Anakin from making a dramatic attack on Bane, as they'd still yet to determine if he had been the assigned killer, so instead they wait for Bane to enter a bar before trapping his techno service droid outside. Pulling it towards their hiding spot with the Force, they quickly removed its memory chip and replaced it with one of their own, before returning to the surface. Upon examination of the droid's memory, the Council discovered the hooded figure of Darth Sidious, the same name that had been used by Dooku to label the person in charge of the war on Geonosis. It was at this point that there was only one person they could accuse, and it was Chancellor Palpatine. Anakin is outraged at these accusations towards his close mentor, but his master assured him that these were merely suspicions, and they set about finding evidence against him. It seemed Palpatine had covered his tracks well, if he was indeed the Sith Lord, and bringing a number of trusted senators to their council tower, they discussed the idea of electing a new Supreme Chancellor. Much to the surprise of Anakin, even Padme, who would replace Palpatine as the Senate of Naboo, had been growing further apart from the Chancellor, and they wanted to deal with the growing corruption in the Galactic Republic. Anakin was simmering with rage, but deciding to ignore the standing Jedi Knight, Mace Windu asked Senator Amidala to reignite her acquaintance with Senator Rush Clovis to try and find any suspicious financial activities. Anakin had had enough, and letting out a roar that vibrated the windows, he clenched his fist, and all of the council members are knocked out of their chairs. Obi-Wan was the first to get up, and escorted Anakin out of the room before matters escalated, then guided him to his Padawan's quarters. Obi-Wan knew of Anakin's involvement with Senator Amidala, but had chosen to ignore it after the event on Geonosis, and expressed his immense disappointment. Anakin looked at the floor in shame, but turning to his master, he sees him looking unusually conflicted before he ran out of his quarters. The Jedi Knight was terrified that his master was about to tell the Council of his code-defying activities, but he was actually jumping into his starfighter, and Anakin followed him. Ordering for his admiral to reactivate the hyperdrive rings, Anakin threw a tracking beacon on his master's ship and traced the signal all the way to the planet of Mandalore. The curiosity within the Jedi Knight increased, as he knew his master had been involved in the war effort, but when he landed by the royal palace, all became clear. Obi-Wan bowed to Duchess Satine, and Anakin realised that his master had not been disappointed in him, but had the Jedi code for his restrictions. As if by fate, the hologram of Grandmaster Yoda appeared on the wrist of Anakin, asking him to return to Coruscant immediately, as Padme found evidence that Palpatine was using the Republic funds to support both sides in the war. Leaving the relative comfort of Mandalore, Anakin and Obi-Wan flew back to the Jedi Council, sensing that they had just made a grave mistake. The coldness that Anakin and Obi-Wan had felt upon the departure of Mandalore continued all the way through to their journey back to Coruscant, and landing back by the Jedi Temple, the scene is one of utter chaos. Palpatine had somehow managed to escape, having sensed the Jedi closing in on him, and Yoda and Mace Windu were organising for a way to capture him. But as they approached the Republic military base to gather the clones from their barracks, the echoes of Palpatine's voice executing Order 66 reverberate across the galactic city. The Jedi are unaware of what the order meant, but it could only mean trouble, and igniting their blades, they are quickly forced back to their temple. As if the clones were insufficient for Palpatine, the dreadnought of General Grievous suddenly cast a shadow over the city, and from it, several droid landing crafts emerged, alongside the starfighters of Grievous and Ventress. Yoda stepped out of the temple entrance, and stretching out one of his wizened hands, he moved two of the Separatist crafts into each other, then confronted the two assassins. Yoda was not concerned about the presence of Ventress, but had heard gruesome stories about Grievous, so manipulating Ventress's movements with the Force, Grievous looked bemused, until he found two red lightsabers to his torso. The cyborg had been blinded by his power, and Yoda merely pushed the body of the fallen Jedi killer with the other droids, allowing Ventress to make an escape. But despite this small victory, the Jedi were rapidly depleting in their number, and Anakin and Obi-Wan knew that they had to eliminate Palpatine to stop the massacre. Yoda agreed with the two Jedi, and with Mace Windu, they travelled to Mandalore, where they had previously felt the ominous presence in the Force, leaving Plo Koon and Saesee Tiin to stop the reinforcements in the skies. On their journey, Obi-Wan receives confirmation the Satine was in danger, as the Duchess desperately pleaded for the Jedi to stop the onslaught that Palpatine was causing to her people. Upon their arrival to the planet, the Separatists had made their presence felt by dominating its airspace, clearly wanting for Mandalore to be one of their new territories, but the Jedi had other ideas. Going straight for the biggest dreadnought, Anakin managed to call off the attack, in time to avoid the giant pulse generated by the powerful ion cannon, before they saw another ship sneaking from behind them. To the surprise of Anakin, it is Padme piloting one of the new prototype stealth ships, and the Jedi Order threat had dropped down to the ground, before she was destroyed into 1,000 pieces. Despite the protests of Anakin, he is forced by the Jedi Masters to go and use the stealth ship to try and hand down Dooku, whilst Windu and Obi-Wan go to find Palpatine. Windu secretly knew that Anakin would be too conflicted in a battle against his old friend, and entering the throne room before Palpatine could kill Satine, he sneered at the presence of the two Jedi. Igniting his two lightsabers, he targeted Obi-Wan with a fearsome attack, but the Jedi Master somehow managed to deflect the barrage of strikes, until Windu took over. The Master of the Order used the Sith Lord's hate against him, and pinning Palpatine to the wall, he disarmed him. Pointing his lightsaber at Palpatine, he arched his arm over his head and slashed the Sith Lord as Anakin arrived from his own Sith slaying. The clones around them quickly stopped their attack on the Jedi, leaving just the droids, which were either being moved aboard the droid control ship or on the secret Separatist base on Mustafar. Leaving his master to once again help to clean the destruction on Mandalore, Anakin joined Padme and Windu on their return to Coruscant, and the Jedi Master soon revealed that Anakin would be expelled for breaking the Jedi Code with Padme. Anakin was unmoved by his temporary expulsion, and arriving on Coruscant, the politicians formed a guard of honour all the way to the footsteps of the Senate building. Windu realised at this point that his decision to expel Anakin would be looked upon unfavourably by the rest of the galaxy, so returning to the council chamber, Anakin is shocked to hear that he was being offered a seat on the council, replacing the recently deceased Evan Peel. Like Obi-Wan, the council decided to ignore Anakin's marriage to Senator Amidala, as it had not altered Anakin's path of a Jedi, but they were still forced to rebuild after their purge, and Anakin would pass on what he had learned. That is if what if Anakin never lost his arm. If you enjoyed this what if, please like this video, turn on that notification bell, click that subscribe button on this channel, as well as on my other channel What If Films. And as always, leave a comment on what if you'd all like to see next, and how I can improve my videos. Thank you all very much for watching, and see you next time.